Hey, Thomas Bartke here at cawholesaledeals.com. I'm recording this video on Friday evening, January 15th, to kind of share some thoughts with you about the announcement that just came today from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to waive the 90-day seasoning requirement for FHA buyers. That's an announcement that has widely been anticipated and sort of expected by the real estate investment and professional community, because it makes it a lot easier for rehabbers to flip properties after they fix it up, because usually fixing up properties doesn't take 90 days, and so it's just unnecessary holding time that adds to the cost of rehabbers calculations. And also there's some speculation that it might make it easier to flip a house at a short sale. So where the investor buys the house and immediately in a simultaneous closing or back-to-back closing can sell the house right away to an FHA buyer. The situations are completely different, but it really affects the entire real estate market and is therefore a very important piece of information to digest for short sale investors, short sale negotiators, as well as rehabbers. And as a wholesaler, it's very important to understand the full impact of that waiver as well, because as you know, from the webinar that we just did with Joe Rehabber, rehabbers are your real buyers of your wholesale deals, and so knowing how this impacts a rehabber is extremely important, so that you can cater properly to the rehabbers that you identify as your buyers in your market. Okay, so let's take a quick look. I'm going to put a link to this article here under the video as well, so you'll be able to read through it. I really want to get into the nitty-gritty of how it affects us. There are other important announcements that were just made here, but here's the main thing is that with certain expectations, FHA currently prohibits insuring a mortgage on a home owned by the seller for less than 90 days. This temporary waiver will give FHA borrowers access to a broader area of recently foreclosed properties. So the point is, FHA buyers can buy properties that have been owned by the seller for less than 90 days if certain conditions are met. The waiver will take effect on February 1st, 2010, and is effective for 1 year unless otherwise extended. So now let's take a closer look at the conditions. Here are the conditions, following general conditions, all right? All transactions must be arm's length with no identity of interest between the buyer and seller or other parties participating in the sales transaction. In cases in which the sales price of the property is 20% or more above the seller's acquisition cost, the waiver will only apply if the lender meets specific conditions. And the waiver is limited to forward mortgages. Okay, that's not that important. So these two conditions here. And now let's go over and look at that more closely, how this actually plays out here. Okay, this is the actual text of the waiver. I'm also going to put a link to this. There's a PDF file that you can go ahead and download so you can read it yourself firsthand. Okay, it's really important to understand and really comprehend what you're doing here. So here's the waiver. Now let's take a closer look at the exceptions. First of all transactions must be arm's length. That's the part that already was on the other page. No collusion or agreements between parties. Okay, so here it is spelled out in detail. First of all, the seller holds title to the property. So that means that doesn't allow for assignments or anything like that where you are a third party in between the current owner of the property and the FHA buyer. It has to be a straightforward transaction between the seller and the buyer. Now, here's an interesting thing. LLCs, corporations, or trusts that are serving as sellers were established and are operated in accordance with applicable state and federal law. So that actually says, yes, we do accept these entities, LLCs, corporations, or trusts, as legitimate sellers as long as they're properly established and operated. So that seems like a condition relatively easy to meet, and indicates that actually positively, no, we are not going to red flag those entities if they are the sellers. By the way, I'm not an attorney. I'm not dishing out legal advice or anything like this. I'm just applying this to my experience and giving you my take on this. So now here, number C, this is actually very important. No pattern of previous flipping activity exists for the subject property. Now this is really important. This is really important as evidenced by multiple title transfers within a 12-month time frame. If you act as a wholesaler or as a, that may also apply to short sales, but as a wholesaler, let's stick with this example. It's important to create a clean transaction between the original seller and the rehabber that you're selling the property to, because otherwise your rehabber is going to run afoul with this condition under C right here. Okay, so if you in the way that you structure your wholesale flip, if you create a multiple transfer of title right there, that's going to trip up your rehab investor later on. So you have to figure ways to make that a clean transaction with you as the rehabber, as the wholesaler, being a principal in the transaction, but not messing up the title by having the property titled to you and then to the rehabber. That's going to be a flag right here that's going to violate that. So make sure that that doesn't happen. And then this is also very interesting. D, the property was marketed openly and fairly via MLS, auction, for sale by owner offering, or developer marketing. So that's very interesting to me that actually a for sale by owner offering is considered by the FHA and by the HUD as one method of openly and fairly marketing the property, just like it is to list in the MLS or to hold an auction. That's very interesting that this is actually explicitly in this text here. Now there's the whole second condition has to do with limiting the increase, or limiting the increase in value or the profit that happens between the acquisition cost and the resale cost of value as a rehabber. And there are just a series. The mark here is 20%. So if it's 20%, if the prices are 20% or more different from acquisition to resale to the FHA buyer, then these detailed items here apply. And again, you have to go through this in detail. It's not, in my opinion, a huge stepping stone that's going to trip up your rehabber. It's conditions that just make sure that there was legitimate rehab work done, and that the FHA buyer is actually receiving a good value and a property that's in excellent condition. So, and if you're working with a legitimate rehabber, it shouldn't be a problem to meet these conditions as well. So, again, I'm sharing my experience here with you and my interpretation of this kind of groundbreaking new ruling today, or a waiver of the policies by the HUD to apply the 90-day seasoning. Thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and come to our website, sign up to our wholesale mailing list for more information and great wholesale deals. This is Thomas Barth with CAWholesaleDeals.com, and I'm signing off right now. Take care.